everyone has a different term of how they view affordable. I mean, right? Some people who are doing very well have a different view of it than somebody that's making not much money, and that's why it's important that that we understand what the happy medium is on that to a certain extent, also.
Yeah. Well, there is no happy medium right now, in my opinion. That's the issue, and I talk about this with some cohorts of mine and associates in the business that, in some sense, we have sort of lost the middle class in housing. Like, they're really, it's just gone up so much that what was the middle class is now probably the lower class. It's interesting. Things have just gone up so high and wages have not gone up with them that, people that work just normal jobs at normal places that maybe weren't making exceedingly high pay could build a house. Now they have a really hard time. I mean, I have a guy that called me he wants to move away from California. And he's the aerospace engineer or something. The guy makes tons of money, but he wants to move from California out here or somewhere around here. He's not sure if it's Nebraska or Iowa or where he'll end up, but he was even surprised when he said to me, because he heard that things were cheaper here. And I said, they're way cheaper, but the baseline to get into a brand new house is still $450,000 or $500,000. And he wants 3 acres. I'm like, well, you're probably much higher than that because you have to do well and septic, and there's all these other costs that a normal lot would not accrue. And the guy was just kind of blown away by it. But I think we'll get back to what's normal. And again, remember, anybody who's on the fence about buying or selling, rates will come down. I mean, I don't know if I should knock on wood as I say this or have a disclaimer attached to it, but economists and bankers, right, are saying things should come back down significantly. And I personally, my opinion, not saying fact, but my opinion is that things will eventually land in the 4 to probably mid-5 range, depending on credit scores, income, what type of loan you're doing, things like that. So if you buy now and you can afford it, things will get better, and and life will get better. I mean, really, when I bought my first house in Indian Hills, it was 2009, I believe. We were still going through stuff with the housing crisis that happened, where Obama had to do all that stuff where we all got checks back. Basically, that was our incentive for buying a house. I got a check for like $7,500.
All right.
It was beautiful.
Let's do this.
But I totally lost train of thought here. Where was I going with this, Jake? Guide me back to the path. I'm having kind of a brain fart, totally.
Well, you talked about rates coming down. They should come down.
So, sorry. So, my first house I bought, I had pretty decent credit, and I think my dad even may have co-signed with me. I was in my 20s, and we got a 6.75 rate, and we were just thrilled. Like, it'd never been that cheap before, and thought we were getting a great rate. And then I refied down to like probably 4.25 or 3.75 5 years into my loan, and it went down like $500 a month.
Yep.
And I wasn't making as much money then as I make now. So back then, $500, that's $6,000 a year. You could take a couple extra vacations a year with $500 a month extra in your pocket.
Just refinancing.
Yeah. So things will settle back down. And so just make sure you can afford them now. And eventually you will have an opportunity, or should, to refi at a lower rate.
I have a question myself. This is a Jake Sorensen question, not from a listener chiming in, but now we've seen a couple different projects in Lincoln that have been stalled because of high inflation numbers that they've said we're not going to build until that comes down. I'm curious, in the real estate industry, for you guys and new builders that are probably working hand in hand with you, do you have people that have said we're going to do this once the rate comes down? We already have plans laid out. How does that work in terms of wanting to get it now to ensure you have the spot before it comes down in the rate, and taking the risk that it's not there when the rates come down?
I think it's smarter to do it now, personally. We do have people that are waiting on the sidelines. Yeah. Right. Again, it's supply and demand.
Yeah, absolutely.
As soon as rates go down, the demand will go up. And if supply does not go with it, which it hasn't been the last 3 or 4 years, so it's safe to think that maybe that trend's going to stick around. As soon as that happens, prices are going to go up again. So again, things are sort of settled now. even though the interest rates are not settled yet. Luckily, that's a thing that moves up and down, where the price won't. If you pay $350 for a house right now, your loan amount's not going to change as long as you're not trying to pull equity back out when you refinance. So lowering that interest rate is going to lower the principal and interest payment every month. A lot of things. Well, it shouldn't change the principal actually, but it will change the interest rate. But it's significant. Like a 2% swing is hundreds of dollars a month, and in some price points, maybe over $1,000. So don't wait. Seriously, don't wait. Like, this isn't a sales tactic. This is a real life.
It's reality.
Like, Right. Right now, you can buy it at what I would say is a more comfortable environment where you're not having to get into a bidding war with everybody. Buy it now. Make sure you can afford it now. Refi in 18 months or less. And then you really can afford it and take that extra money and go buy another rental property.
There you go. That's just smart management right there.
Advice for you, Jake Sorensen.
It's my advice for me, advice for the listeners of Get Real with Ben Bleicher. It's what you're doing, Ben. You help people out here.
Keeping it real.
Before we get to break, another question. Jeff had one, and again, you don't. This is not something you support, but it's a question you can answer at least. Jeff wanted to know about rent skyrocketing across the city and nationally as well. Is that something even when the rates come down, will that change at all or not? Renting rates. You're promoting home buying, but in general, you can't buy a home.
Well, but I have a lot of clients who buy investment properties.
Sure.
I think rentals may. I think that rents may level out a little bit. I don't think they'll come down. Just like everything else, they don't really ever seem to lower. And the reason for that, at least the current situation, is there's a shortage again of affordable housing and rentals. I mean, I get as many calls, and I don't help people find rentals. It doesn't pay anything.
Nope.
I mean, I do things out of the goodness of my heart all the time, but I'm very busy, and I try to choose activities that are financially wise ones for myself as well. But I get a lot of calls, people asking for rentals, and there's just nothing out there. And that's what's driving it. There is no supply, and demand is high, so you're going to raise the price. And some of that is also driven by the high interest rates. They're paying more to own these rental properties, so they have to charge more. Pretty simple supply and demand answer.
That's right.
One.
Economics here, my friend.
Yep.
Economics.
But you also see a new apartment complex going up on every other corner the last 5 years. So eventually this may correct, and this gets into
on that note, will that ever stop? Like, what's the reason for that, and will we see that trend stop anytime soon?
There's just a shortage. They're building because there's a demand for housing. They eventually will have to stop.
Yep. Eventually,
they will get to a point where they don't have occupancy of buildings, or they don't get to occupancy fast enough. Because when you build a 10 million, I've got a good friend and client of mine who has a beautiful apartment complex they've built in Lincoln. I think they're going on over 300 units right now. And they have never had issues ever. They've always had a waiting list to get in.
Good for them.
But the day that shifts where it takes them 3 months or 4 months to fill a unit, every unit not filled is money not made. And some people's margins are going to be tight enough, not saying this person necessarily, but some people's margins will be tighter than this particular client of mine. And if they go, 3 months without having 3 of their units rented, they don't make any money that year. How do you justify it? So it's the politics of rentals goes deep. There's a lot of moving parts there. But until there is either too much supply or less demand, rental rates will not come down. And that may never happen. The U.S. people, and Lincoln especially, it's not like our population is decreasing.
Right. More
people are coming here, so there's going to be more demand, I feel like. So, but I don't have a crystal ball on that one, unfortunately.
Once again, you guys can always call or text this show at 402-464-5685. You can call Ben and his team at 402-HOMES for you.
Please do.
Or go to prg-ne.com. We'll take a quick break. We'll have more on Get Real with Ben Bleicher, a professional realty group of Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Ambassador Real Estate, next on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Start your Sundays off right with Jeff and Nicole Essink on Fitness Fanatics. Jeff and Nicole discuss health and wellness, how to achieve fitness goals, and more through the life of gym owners and gym goers. It's Fitness Fanatics from 9 to 11 a.m. on Sundays on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
So what's this new concept happening at 1040 O Street? There's 93.7 The Ticket, there's the Mill Coffee and Tea, and there's Grandma's Bake Shop and Beatrice Bakery? Well, yeah, it's all of those things. It's a place for the community to hang out, grab a drink and a bite, and just chill, or work, or meet, or chat, or whatever you want to do. 93.7 The Ticket, the Mill Coffee and Tea, Grandma's Bake Shop, and Beatrice Bakery, all together at 1040 O Street.
From across the state who serve their communities in outstanding ways. We hope you'll join us this year at the Step Forward Awards Luncheon on October 27th in Omaha. Help us thank volunteers with a celebration to remember. To register, visit serve.nebraska.gov and click Register Now. We hope to see you there. Paid for by Serve Nebraska. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
If you came across someone struggling with hunger, how would you recognize them?
By their clothes,
their age,
the way they speak. Hunger can be hard to recognize. Learn why at IamHungerInAmerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America, 200 Food Banks Strong, and the Ad Council.
Getting experience to jumpstart a meaningful career can be difficult, and education can cost a fortune. Luckily, AmeriCorps can be the solution. With AmeriCorps, you'll earn a stipend and education award while helping people. Plus, you'll gain professional skills and make connections to help you build your career. If you're ready to start a career you can be proud of, visit serve.nebraska.gov/service to find a program for you. Paid for by Serve Nebraska, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
My early Alzheimer's diagnosis was hard to take,
but it gave my mom and me more time to plan together.
Talk to your family about seeing a doctor. Go to alz.org/time to talk. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Alexa, play 93.7 The Ticket.
Okay, playing 93.7 The Ticket.
Alexa, turn down the lights.
Dimming the lights.
Alexa, order a pizza. The big one. All the toppings.
Are you sure that's a good idea?
Alexa.
That's a lot of pizza for just one man.
Alexa, just do it. Stop judging me, just do it.
As you wish.
Thanks, Alexa. You're my best friend.
There's no better way to spark a child's imagination than to get lost in the adventure of a good book. I'm Jenny Benson, president of NSEA. Working together, parents and teachers can help every child succeed. You can help by reading to your child and let your child read to you. Encourage reading in your home and make it a priority. Make reading fun and a time that you and your child look forward to spending together.
Sponsored by the Nebraska State Education Association, aired by the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Hi, this is Pastor Tom. Did you know there's a place kids can seek out help when they're away from home and something goes wrong? They find themselves in a difficult spot or even a dangerous situation. Maybe another child is bullying them or a stranger is following them. Perhaps on a date and things just go bad. In Lincoln, here's where they can find help. It's called Safe Place. Safe Place is a national program for children taking place in thousands of cities across the United States. The People Seeding Mission is sponsoring this program in our community and has set up a number of businesses, fire stations, schools, and nonprofits around the city to become safe locations where kids can seek out help. They just need to look for the big yellow sign that says Safe Place on it. Then go inside and ask for help. We will be quickly connected to them and ensure they make it back home or to whatever resources are needed. If you'd like to find out more about Safe Place and ways in which you can get involved, just go to pcmlincoln.org. Remember, when we all do a little, we change a lot.
Finally, a good reason to have a smart house. Just say, Alexa, play 93.7 The Ticket, and we'll magically start playing. How's it work? Nobody knows. Don't ask questions. On the Block with Strick and Austin.
You only allow 13 points to Maryland, who's averaging 30. You allow fewer than 400 total yards to an offensive close pass. That great, but I still am left feeling, what if? Is there one more play, one more drive in this defense?
It's tough for me to put the whole onus, and I know you're not, but to put that onus on them.
Weekdays from 2 to 4 on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, we are back here on Get Real with Ben Bleicher of Professional Realty Group of Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, Ambassador Real Estate. I am Jake Sorensen. He is Ben Bleicher. We talk every week about real estate, selling, buying, all the questions you have regarding Lincoln, Nebraska, your area. If you're listening from afar, we try to answer those questions as well. Again, you can always call or text 402-464-5685. Call Ben and the squad at 402-HOMES-FOR-YOU, or go to prg-ne.com. You can watch and comment on Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, and watch also on Allo statewide, channel 961. We've already plugged a couple things. You have the Heart Ball coming up this weekend. You have next weekend is the Home and Garden Show at the Sandhills Global Event Center. And there's a couple of things we want to get to as the show goes on. Now, we were talking during the break, Ben, about, people obviously are living in the now, but you got to prepare for the future. You got to think about your future, whether it's financially or you're in terms of a house yourself or career move. That's always something you have to think about. And we were thinking about the future of real estate in Lincoln. We've seen a growth to the south, all this movement at Yankee Hill going from 40th to 56, tons of stuff happening for businesses and home development coming down there. But I'm curious, Ben, when you've thought about or started to research from what you know, the future of real estate in Lincoln, where do you start at? How far do you go, and what's the the soonest thing you look at?
Well, that's a very interesting question that I would love to talk about. I know too much about this, way too much about why and when and how and where everything's going. And you'll think this is funny. It's all about sewage.
Sewage, that's important.
It's the biggest thing in Lincoln. Lincoln is very methodical about where we grow and why we're going what direction. And the biggest driver that I would say separates, and I know this wasn't part of your question, but
it's fine.
Something that separates the way Lincoln and Lancaster County do it differently than Omaha per se, and why Omaha has grown differently is sewage. In Lincoln, they like sewage to run downhill, if that makes sense. That gravity, right?
Yeah.
Things, water is pressurized, but sewage has to flow. And I don't mean to be gross or anything, but they like hills that go downwards for their sewage plants. They like to have them at the bottom of a hill, so everything above. There's a term I could say, but I can't say it on the radio. Crap rolls down.
Yes,
rolls downhill.
That's PG. Thank you for that, Ben.
There was another word I wanted to use.
I can't imagine what that word possibly was.
Anyways, so that particular aspect controls a lot of things, and why I bring up Omaha is Omaha allows what we call sanitary improvement districts. They're called SIDs, and an SID is, some farmer could own a piece of land that's maybe a half mile or a mile away from any current sewer, so you can't access it right now, and that you could still do acreages and have a septic or a lagoon system where it's all sustained on site and it doesn't have a sewage system. Well, that is the sewage system. It's private and per house. But in Omaha, you can do these SIDs where they basically set up their own sewer system with a hookup for the city when the city reaches that point. Lincoln does not allow those. Lincoln is much stricter about not wanting to have to pump sewage from one place to another. And so until they have their sewer there, they really don't like approving residential developments. And where this is, there's pros and cons to both. Omaha can grow infinitely in pretty much every direction as long as they allow these SIDs, which is why Gretna, Elkhorn, Bennington, Bellevue, all these cities have just slowly formed and then been gobbled up by Omaha. And that's why Omaha's over 1 million people now, I believe.
Metro is about 1 million. Yep. Correct.
And again, Lincoln is growing, but it's growing at a slower, more methodical pace. We haven't tried to gobble up Hickman or Waverly or Eagle. Eagle's actually in Cass County, so that couldn't happen. And I think Hickman's in a different county as well. But nonetheless, there's all these little towns that haven't really been absorbed because we're not doing the SID thing. So back to the sewage topic. Right now, from my understanding, after talking with my contacts at the city, is Yankee Hill is sort of, not Yankee Hill, excuse me, Saltillo is sort of the stopping point for sewer.
It seemed like that, yeah.
Well, because if you get to Saltillo, there's sort of a hump there, and then it drops off the other way, but there's no sewage plant that direction right now. So until Lincoln fills in between Rokeby and Saltillo enough, there won't be any reason to keep pushing sewer any further because they don't want to spend the money on infrastructure for it to sit there for 20 years. It's not the build it and they will come attitude. It's the, when we have a necessity for doing something, then we'll do it when there's the need. So right now sewer is probably right at about Saltillo because we have stuff going up in Rokeby right now. I don't know exactly where the sewage plants are located. I could find out very easily. I just don't know. And as far as south, that's where things are going. You have stuff between Yankee Hill and Saltillo, all the way from basically, I think 14th Street up to probably 70th or so. And that will go further east as things progress, especially with the Beltway that just went in. And then further talking about putting the north-south Beltway in. More people I talked to, they said they should have put that one in first. After seeing it go up. I've talked to a lot of farmers about it. I've talked to a lot of business people that are, anyways, won't get off topic on that. That's another day and a whole nother show we could have about access.
So a question then I want to interject is that maybe this is common knowledge, but for those who don't know and have been afraid to ask, I'll ask for those people. The interstate in Lincoln is north of town. Everything is built south.
And east.
And east. Is there any reason why it's never gone north of the interstate? Is this an SID problem, or will it ever go northbound ever?
Well,
building
okay,
in Lincoln?
so let's get to that. Let me finish one more thing I want to say about the sewage. So the city of Lincoln did move sewer. It was sitting approximately at 120th and O. And if you know where that is, that's sort of the Walton Trail area. Well, sort of. If you're familiar with that intersection, it's at the bottom of a hill.
Yep.
And like I said, they need things to flow downwards. So what they did to further increase development in East Lincoln is they moved the sewer. They put a huge sewer main from 120th and O. They got to A Street. They got to Van Dorn. They hit Pioneers. Actually, they may have stopped at Van Dorn. But I think they're going to extend to Pioneers early. They were going to wait until they filled in, and the city made the decision we're going to go one more mile. Is it a mile? I think from Van Dorn to Pioneers, probably.
I think that sounds right. Yeah. Yes, it is.
Usually they go in 12 block chunks.
1 mile.
Anyway, so right now, that's where sewer is. So you have Wandering Creek. You have, it's called Wild Horse, or White Horse, excuse me. Waterford just extended further. Waterford ended and now Dominion has started, which is new development. You have another one behind State Farm where it used to be on 84th. Even Boulder Ridge is still moving towards 98th Street.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll see if any of the doctors that own these huge acres on the other side eventually want to sell their houses for development purposes. Not quite sure what will happen between Old Cheney and, Pine Lake in the next 20 years, but we'll see. Anyways, until things fill in to 120th Street, they're not going to bump it further east again, because they're a little more methodical. They want there to be a need and not build it so they come. But the next stop will be 148th, I would imagine. They went from 98th to 120th. That's 22 blocks. The next one will be, 28 blocks, probably to 148th Street. We'll see if we see that in our lifetime. Just don't know. We don't know if things will go fast or slow 10 years from now, but eventually they'll keep going east. And again, eventually southwise, if they decide to bridge that hump at Saltillo, they will. And I'm sure that I will see if I can get one of my planning department buddies to come down here and talk someday about where things are going. I just don't know if they'll want to do it publicly, as if we don't want any level.
We can always ask, Ben.
Commitment, right? But as far as North Lincoln, so parts of Northeast Lincoln get sort of flat as you go further.
Okay.
And that proposes a lot of problems, not just for sewage, but also for floodplain.
Sure.
There's a ton of stuff that is out like off Northwest 48th and even off the interstate off of like 14th, that if you drive out there, it's flat.
Mm-hmm.
It's really flat. And you have to, I mean, there's parts of Lincoln on the interior that have been there for 50 years that they're working on getting out of the floodplain. That is probably taking priority over them taking area that is low enough that it needs to be built up. You know, they're going to focus on the stuff that's a problem already before they try to create new land. And another part of the problem with low spots is that you can't just start dumping dirt. Like anywhere, if you're in a floodplain, I believe the rule is if you usually can't take out of it, but anything you add higher has to go lower somewhere in order to balance out like water retention. Like you can't just go, you know, find a piece of farm ground and scrape 5 feet off the top and just dump it somewhere else like that, because then you'll affect that area.
Yep.
So, you know, you have FEMA for this. We're really going down the rabbit hole here. I mean,
we do get real here.
Right. We do.
We get real, Ben.
We're being very real. It's not political. It's environmental. You can't just take from somewhere and not add it back. Like, so that's the issue with floodplain. They're doing stuff right now to, hopefully, like, here's a good example, like 48th and Layton. I've got this big property for lease right now. And the guys that don't have talked to me about in the next couple of years, the state of Nebraska and FEMA and probably city of Lincoln are going to work on getting a lot of that neighborhood out of the floodplain. It needs to come out. It makes the area not desirable for people to want to move to because they have to pay flood insurance and you're risking. I mean, you don't hear the word flood zone and say, I'm going to go buy a house there. It scares you, right?
It should scare you.
Because there's a chance of flooding.
Right.
So they're working on getting that area out right now. A whole bunch of stuff to the west of 48th and Layton is floodplain, I think including part of UNL's farm ground. And that's why it's remained farm ground and not developed probably. Don't quote me. I'm not saying that's for sure the way it is, but that's my guess. Anyways, what they're going to do is they're going to widen some of these waterways to increase the amount of water they can handle so it doesn't flood. And then that will take those areas out of the floodplain, therefore making it more desirable. And then even developers will want to develop in that area more because nobody wants to. Oh, another point I was going to bring up. When you move dirt, you don't just move it and build on it. You have to compact it. You have to let it settle. There's all this scientific stuff you have to do to it before you can start building on it, or everything will just sink. I mean, if you bring 1 million tons of dirt and dump it in an area that's 2 feet in the floodplain, you can't build on it next month. Like you have to let it settle and compact it and do all this work to it. I mean, there's corners you've seen them add dirt to for decades. Look at 84th and Van Dorn. There's a sign right on the corner. You've seen it. Yep. You've noticed that property is continually being brought up and brought up and brought up. Because there's a big drop right now. Not to say that any of that's necessarily in the floodplain.
It seems like a prime spot, but yeah.
Oh,
it's prime.
The primest. Yeah. I mean, I can't wait.
Over by Firethorn.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Yep.
And Wandering Creek, which is another great neighborhood that's developing. But again, you watch them, they'll build these hills and they slowly settle a little bit, or they'll have compactors or scrapers driving on them. Like, it's not a quick process at all. Which is why they focus on areas that don't need that, because it's a lot easier. It's a lot less work and costs a lot less money.
We will put a pin in this and wrap up with this conversation for our final segment. Interesting stuff about the future of Lincoln and real estate. He is Ben Bleicher. This is Get Real with Ben Bleicher, Professional Realty Group of Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, Ambassador Real Estate. We'll have one final segment here next on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Sunday morning. It's quiet. Not in a weird, too quiet way. Calm, peaceful, tranquil. You pour yourself that cup of coffee. You slice yourself a hearty chunk of one of Beatrice Bakery's breakfast breads. Now, maybe you're an apple streusel guy. Nothing wrong with that. I can respect that. Personally, I'm a turtle nut man. Something about those pecans. But the real ones know, don't sleep on that date nut bread. Sweet, but not too sweet. Nutty, not overly. The perfect morning treat. Beatrice Bakery. Online at beatricebakery.com. Welcome to our world of yum.
Is your backyard ready for fun with friends and family this fall? GE Landscape Supply has pavers and boulders, which are a great accent for any landscaping project. And you can find them at 6701 Cornhusker Highway. GE Landscape Supply sells to homeowners and contractors with a vast selection of landscaping and construction materials. And don't forget, they deliver anywhere, nearby or far away. Stop by at 6701 Cornhusker Highway from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday to Friday. Go to gelandscapesupply.com for more info or call 402-467-1627.
This holiday season, recharge with the Planet Fitness Black Card for just $1 down and $24.99 a month. So instead of fighting a stranger in the mall over a stuffed T-Rex, bring a friend for free and work out on the TRX. Instead of freezing in line for a lame holiday deal, relax in the Black Card Spa with some hydro massage feels. Instead of being trapped at your in-laws, escape to any of our 2,400 Planet Fitness locations. Sign up today for the Planet Fitness Black Card. Just $1 down and $24.99 a month. Cancel anytime. Deal ends November 30th. See Club for details.
What a day. I could sure use an afternoon pick-me-up. Hold up. The new 93.7 The Ticket location has a milk, coffee, and tea inside? Oh, yeah. This is a game changer. Need an afternoon pick-me-up? How about a coffee or smoothie on your way to work? Stop by the Ticket Mill location on 1040 O Street to get your go-to drink or try out our new game day drinks exclusive to the Ticket Mill location. We know it'll make your day a million times better.
Hi, Sean Callahan here of HuskerOnline.com, inviting you to join us here on 93.7 The Ticket every Saturday morning. Now in our new time, we're on from 8 to 9 with the weekly Husker Online radio show. We'll give you the latest in recruiting. We'll talk about what's going on with both football, basketball, and we'll probably share a few stories from the inside. It's every Saturday morning right here on 93.7 The Ticket. It's the Husker Online radio show from 8 to 9 a.m.
Start your Sundays off right with Jeff and Nicole Essink on Fitness Fanatics. Jeff and Nicole discuss health and wellness, how to achieve fitness goals, and more through the life of gym owners and gym goers. It's Fitness Fanatics from 9 to 11 a.m. on Sundays on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
So what's this new concept happening at 1040 O Street? There's 93.7 The Ticket, there's the Mill Coffee and Tea, and there's Grandma's Bake Shop and Beatrice Bakery? Well, yeah, it's all of those things. It's a place for the community to hang out, grab a drink and a bite, and just chill, or work, or meet, or chat, or whatever you want to do. 93.7 The Ticket, the Mill Coffee and Tea, Grandma's Bake Shop, and Beatrice Bakery, all together at 1040 O Street.
From across the state who serve their communities in outstanding ways. We hope you'll join us this year at the Step Forward Awards Luncheon on October 27th in Omaha. Help us thank volunteers with a celebration to remember. To register, visit serve.nebraska.gov and click Register Now. We hope to see you there. Paid for by Serve Nebraska. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
If you came across someone struggling with hunger, how would you recognize them?
By their clothes,
Their age?
the way they speak. Hunger can be hard to recognize. Learn why at IamHungerInAmerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America, 200 Food Banks Strong, and the Ad Council.
Getting experience to jumpstart a meaningful career can be difficult, and education can cost a fortune. Luckily, AmeriCorps can be the solution. With AmeriCorps, you'll earn a stipend and education award while helping people. Plus, you'll gain professional skills and make connections to help you build your career. If you're ready to start a career you can be proud of, visit serve.nebraska.gov/service to find a program for you. Paid for by Serve Nebraska, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
My early Alzheimer's diagnosis was hard to take.
But it gave my mom and me more time to plan together.
Talk to your family about seeing a doctor. Go to alz.org/time to talk. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Alexa, play 93.7 The Ticket.
Okay, playing 93.7 The Ticket.
Alexa, turn down the lights.
Dimming the lights.
Alexa, order a pizza. The big one. All the toppings.
Are you sure that's a good idea?
Alexa.
That's a lot of pizza for just one man.
Alexa, just do it. Stop judging me, just do it.
As you wish.
Thanks, Alexa. You're my best friend.
One final segment here on Get Real with Ben Bleicher, a professional realty group of Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Ambassador Real Estate. He is Ben Bleicher. I am Jake Sorensen. We're bringing you news on real estate every single week. Questions, we take them. If you have questions, Ben usually posts on his Facebook page, so find them there. Send us a chat, or if you're watching on the Tickets Facebook page, please send us a chat there as well. A question, we will address it on our next session that we have here, or you can always text 402-464-5685. If you want to call Ben personally and his team, we advise that you do. Please call 402-HOMES-4U or go online to prg-ne.com to find him today. Also, again, Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, and Allo statewide. You can watch this on 961.
They should call 402 Homes for You just to hear Bob's voicemail.
Voice of Bob. Bob does a lot of big-time radio stuff across the country.
He's a big Fox
he is
commercial
everywhere.
guy, and we got him to record.
You've ever watched TV on Fox or listened to Fox? That's where Bob's voice is at.
We got Bob to record our voicemail.
That's right.
It's pretty awesome. He's a great guy.
Reminder again, a plug. We mentioned this in the first segment. If you missed this, that Ben's got a couple events coming up. The Heart Ball this Saturday. You can go to, is it heart.org, you said?
Yes.
To get involved in the live auction for that?
Yep. Well, just get involved, period. American Heart Association is something that I hold dear to me. And I personally have never had any heart issues, but I know a lot of people who have. And over the years of participating in their events and giving them money when I can, I've learned a lot about them, and they're a very good organization and very deserving of our donation. The biggest thing I can tell you about them is they are local. They're super local. A lot of people, I think there's this misconception that you give money to them and it goes to this big national conglomerate. I mean, if you want to give directly to them, you can, but when you give locally, like, it seriously goes to making sure our fire departments and our EMTs have the proper training and the proper equipment and stuff, like on sites. They work with UNL a bunch. I mean, they're huge with the Huskers. Like, they've done a lot of stuff, but they make sure that the colleges and the local public schools have defibrillator, things like that within their possession in the schools, so that if a kid or something has a heart problem, they can, be trained and have the equipment to save their life, because you don't always have enough time before the ambulance gets there to save them. So
heart.org, again, the Heart Ball this weekend. It's sold out, so you can't get a table, but you can participate by going to heart.org to donate, or again, get involved in the live auction.
Yep, look at the live auction. And there's actually a non-live auction that anybody can bid on. So, and we have some really good items. We work very, very hard to have good items to be able to auction off, and then you can buy stuff and still be giving to a really good cause.
How about that?
But if you need that, if you need to receive something back, that's a great way to do it, is buy an auction.
And again, one more plug again for next weekend, the Home Builders Association of Lincoln Home and Garden Show at the Sandhills Global Event Center, Friday to Sunday. You will have a booth there. I believe the hours are 1 to 8 p.m. or 1 to 9 p.m. on Friday.
Yep.
10 to 8 p.m. on Saturday, and I think 10 to 3 p.m. on Sunday to get ahead for the Super Bowl.
You'll have 2.5 hours after the home show ends to get home and make your chili or whatever you're going to make for the Super Bowl. And
are you having a party, Ben? Are you going to chill after a long weekend of the Home and Garden Show?
If things go the way they normally go, my folks will be joining us.
Okay.
My dad will bring a pot of chili, and we'll enjoy a couple beverages and watch it. That's what I prefer to. I don't really like going anywhere for it. As you know, I'm a huge sports fan.
You're a big Husker football fan.
I'm a much bigger college football fan than NFL. I love NFL, but if I had to choose college football or NFL, college football all day.
We'll get your official pick next week during our show for the Niners and Chiefs Super Bowl, because they don't play this weekend. It's 2 weekends from now. So,
well, knowing that I don't really have a team, if I was going to favor one, it would be the Chiefs, because they're sort of our local team.
They are.
Yeah, and they're down the road. If I want to go watch a game, it's 2.5 hours away. I used to have a 49ers starter jacket.
Well, then you got to be a Niners fan, Ben.
When Joe Montana was the man, but I'm telling you, junior high, I had like one of those pullover starter quarter zip jackets, but they were cool. to me back then. Now I could care less.
Well, I think because you've owned Niners attire, you got to be a Niners fan. By the way, they're 1.5-point favorites early on for the spread. Niners are. Super Bowl. But we'll wrap this up again. It's been a fun show. Once again, we always plug, if you want to get a hold of Ben, 402 HOMES, HOMES, for you, or go to prg-ne.com. Ben is very active, as well as his team is on Facebook, social media. If you want to get a hold of them and see the different homes they have that they're selling, that they're showing. If you want to sell your home or ask how to do that, again, prg-ne.com or 402 HOMES for you. Any last words, Ben, before we sign off this week?
Nope. I'd love to hear from you guys, though. Reach out and message me, message us on Facebook, message Jake, whatever. We would love to make sure we're talking about topics that are important to you guys. So let us know what questions we can answer or what topics you want us to dive into.
Thanks again to Leanne and Jeff for their questions. We hit those
Thanks,
as well.
guys.
You want your name plugged? Ask a question. We'll shout you on the radio, on the TV.
Yep.
We'll shout it out. So he's Ben Bleicher. I'm Jake Sorens. This has been Get Real with Ben Bleicher of Professional Realty Group of Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, Ambassador Real Estate. We will see you next week. Enjoy the weekend, and we'll talk to you next week.
Later, guys.
See you.
Start your Sundays off right with Jeff and Nicole Essink on Fitness Fanatics. Jeff and Nicole discuss health and wellness, how to achieve fitness goals, and more through the life of gym owners and gym goers. It's Fitness Fanatics from 9 to 11 a.m. on Sundays on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
So what's this new concept happening at 1040 O Street? There's 93.7 The Ticket, there's the Mill Coffee and Tea, and there's Grandma's Bake Shop and Beatrice Bakery? Well, yeah, it's all of those things. It's a place for the community to hang out, grab a drink and a bite, and just chill, or work, or meet, or chat, or whatever you want to do. 93.7 The Ticket, the Mill Coffee and Tea, Grandma's Bake Shop and Beatrice Bakery, all together at 1040 O Street.
From across the state who serve their communities in outstanding ways. We hope you'll join us this year at the Step Forward Awards Luncheon on October 27th in Omaha. Help us thank volunteers with a celebration to remember. To register, visit serve.nebraska.gov and click Register Now. We hope to see you there. Paid for by Serve Nebraska. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
If you came across someone struggling with hunger, how would you recognize them?
By their clothes,
Their age?
the way they speak. Hunger can be hard to recognize. Learn why at IamHungerInAmerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America, 200 Food Banks Strong, and the Ad Council.
Getting experience to jumpstart a meaningful career can be difficult, and education can cost a fortune. Luckily, AmeriCorps can be the solution. With AmeriCorps, you'll earn a stipend and education award while helping people. Plus, you'll gain professional skills and make connections to help you build your career. If you're ready to start a career you can be proud of, visit serve.nebraska.gov/service to find a program for you. Paid for by Serve Nebraska, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
My early Alzheimer's diagnosis was hard to take.
But it gave my mom and me more time to plan together.
Talk to your family about seeing a doctor. Go to alz.org/time to talk. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Alexa, play 93.7 The Ticket.
Okay, playing 93.7 The Ticket.
Alexa, turn down the lights.
Dimming the lights.
Alexa, order a pizza. The big one. All the toppings.
Are you sure that's a good idea?
Alexa.
That's a lot of pizza for just one man.
Alexa, just do it. Stop judging me, just do it.
As you wish.
Thanks, Alexa. You're my best friend.
There's no better way to spark a child's imagination than to get lost in the adventure of a good book. I'm Jenny Benson, president of NSEA. Working together, parents and teachers can help every child succeed. You can help by reading to your child and let your child read to you. Encourage reading in your home and make it a priority. Make reading fun and a time that you and your child look forward to spending together.
Sponsored by the Nebraska State Education Association, aired by the Nebraska Broadcasters Association.